driving India's tourism forward. Thank you.
Mr. Puneet Chatwa, distinguished delegates, friends, it's a great pleasure to address you all this evening at this conclave. And let me begin by conveying my felicitations to the Federation and my appreciation for your collective efforts at promoting tourism in India. Now, you're all people of enormous experience in the tourism industry, people with very impressive credentials, and it's hardly necessary for me to dwell on a subject which you know well, other than to underline that the Modi government is deeply committed to the development of tourism in India. Now, like any domain, tourism and hospitality have a wider context, which actually brings them much closer to my line of work. Sometimes, however, we don't always fully visualize the larger relevance of what we are doing to our national or even international objectives. So, what I would like to do today is to share with you some of my thoughts about how your world meets mine and what is the significance of that intersection. Now, you all know that my job is to engage the international community and advance India's interests. I think that is the shortest description I can give you. But I do want to say that even more than diplomacy, it is actually tourism that connects any nation to the world. Because not only does it shape an understanding of other countries for us, but it actually determines our own image in their eyes. Now, we in India are paying increasing attention to the value of this connect. And in fact, Prime Minister Modi has urged us to use the 3 T's, as he calls them, tourism, trade, and technology, as the benchmark for actually assessing our foreign relationships. Now, many of you would also be aware that Prime Minister Modi invariably interacts with the diaspora when he goes abroad. And I want to remind you that his constant message is to urge them to bring their friends along when they next visit India. So you can see how much we constantly strive in your interests and to promote your business. Now, in recent years, we have made sustained efforts to make our heritage and culture more visible to the world. Almost every year, there are Indian additions to the UNESCO World Heritage List. The most recent one was the Maratha military landscapes, and before that, the Moidams of Assam. But I want to remind you, in the last decade, this expanded list has included Shantiniketan, Hoysala Heritage, the Ramappa Temple, Dholavira, Jaipur City, Old Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Nalanda, Patan, the works of Le Corbusier, and the Kanchenjunga and the Greater Himalayan National Park. Now, you would all appreciate that the beauties of India are, of course, very much in the eyes of the beholder. And it's not just these sites, but I give you the intangible examples, the celebration of Navroz, of the performances of Gujarati Garba, Durga Puja, Kumbh Mela, yoga, and the Thateras utensil making craft from Punjab, all these have today been listed in the intangible cultural heritage as part of what India has to offer to the world, attractions which we are very confident will generate greater tourism interest in our country. Now, apart from that, there is so much that the creative world is actually able to harness from our civilization. So, these armies of creative talent, of influencers, of vloggers, they have a field day whenever they come here. Now, we saw a glimpse of that recently when the WAVE Summit took place in Mumbai. In fact, I would, as people from the tourism and hospitality industry, I would emphasize that social media itself has become today a very powerful force to promote tourism. And I know that you're all seeking to harness that energy to your advantage. Now, other than that, the wellness attractions of India, these have been continuously highlighted. In fact, the mainstreaming of Ayush traditional practices, the promotion of the International Day of Yoga, the launch of Mission Life, or even the popularization of millets, these have all contributed to the goal of promoting tourism and hospitality. Those coming to study in India, I want to emphasize, have also increased. And heal in India is today a mantra that is increasingly catching on in the world, indeed in our own country. And we see that reflected in the growing number of medical tourists to India. And of course, because finally I have to plug from my ministry as well, the practice of e-visas has made visiting India so much more pleasant an experience. So you can see the messaging of India to the world is clearly stronger, but it is paralleled by also making traveling in India much easier. This is evident, obviously, to all of us who move around at home very extensively, and perhaps even to those, perhaps I would say even more so to those coming from abroad who are coming after a bit of a gap to India. Just think about it. Our airports alone have doubled in the last decade. The railways have undergone a sea change, both in the reach and in the quality. Highways have again dramatically changed. The growth of the hospitality industry, of course, in this period is something that all of you know much better than I do. But it is also supported today by homestays, by ecotourism, by adventure destinations. And much of the change underway comes from a government willing to embrace fresh ideas and initiatives. And let me give you some examples. Udan, for example, has made air travel within India more affordable and accessible. Prashad has certainly rejuvenated pilgrimages and augmented spirituality. Where the MICE industry is concerned, we are now seriously on the world map. One visible trend is the enthusiasm of the younger generation to travel more extensively so that they get to know their country better. And again, as I said, we as a ministry are inculcating the same degree of curiosity in the younger generation of people of Indian origin abroad. Now, when I contemplate my own experiences, my personal experiences over the last few years, some of this change that I put before you, some of that really stands out in my own mind. Some years ago, we did the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas in Indore. This was in 2023. And what was different was actually that holding of that Divas, welcoming so many people to Indore, was actually significantly supported by homestays. The most recent Pravasi Bharatiya Divas that we did was in Bhubaneswar. And it actually allowed me to stay in an eco-tourism venue, which is famous for the olive ridley turtles. I had the privilege of taking my fellow G20 ministers to participate in the Ganga Aarti in Kashi. And for that matter, taking the diplomatic corps to the Kaziranga National Park. Let me also share my own pleasant surprise. This was not that long ago. You know, this is the 50th anniversary of the movie Sholay. Okay. So I actually went to the place which was Gabbar Singh's hideout. Okay. And, you know, guess what? I saw a resort there. I saw a resort there because today tourism has grown to a point where people actually try to relive the movies that, you know, that for them are the definitive memories of their youth. So whether it is Bengaluru or Indore, which I spoke about, I've actually gone to, you know, to food streets in these places, sample local delicacies, and seen today actually what a strong draw they have become for domestic and international tourists as well. And in fact, there is no better illustration of the changing trends of tourism in the country than the Statue of Unity in Gujarat. A state, I must tell you, I have the honor to represent in Parliament. The growth of tourism sites, and infrastructure in Kevadia in the last few years is really something to behold. Equally noteworthy has been the growing interest and the ability of our people to explore other regions and states. And again, I give you an example. I have twice attended the Kashi Tamil Sangama, and I can testify firsthand today the enthusiasm and bonding that tourism within the country generates. So in that sense, you know, what you do has not just an economic impact and some other aspects which I will talk about, but it actually promotes national integration, it promotes national awareness, it actually promotes a national spirit in this country, and for that I thank you all. Now, as I said, we naturally perceive tourism as an economic activity, which it is, but let us also recognize its contribution to evoking and strengthening cultural pride in the country. For those who host heritage and other, you know, natural sites, the arrival of tourists is a regular reminder of the value of what they are living next to. As one of the oldest civilizations, such a sentiment, as I said, is key to our identity, it is key to our self-confidence. Amongst Indians, domestic tourism demonstrates the richness, the diversity, the interconnectedness of our culture and traditions. But for those from afar, it is often the experience of their lifetime. However, as we all know, there are still additional ways, different ways of making tourism more memorable. And some of that centers around exposure to local practices, arts, crafts, and skills. After all, as I pointed out, intangible heritage is as valuable as historical or natural sites. And that is why we have popularized the One District, One Product, what we call ODOP scheme, or supported the Vishwakarma initiative, which strengthens the traditional artisans and craftspersons of our country, and encouraged the revival of local customs and performing arts. Now, in an era of globalization and urbanization, traditions are often lost with time. But by nurturing them, we have actually made Indian tourism even more attractive. Perhaps the most impactful endeavor which we have done in recent times was actually the manner in which India conducted the G20 presidency. Prime Minister Modi was very determined that every state of India must be given an opportunity to showcase itself before the world. As part of a strategy, conferences, the G20 conferences and events, were therefore held close to heritage sites or, naturally beautiful landscapes, and delegates were afforded opportunity for maximum cultural immersion. Every state, I'm proud to state, every state rose to the occasion. They put their best foot forward. And many delegates from the world who I often meet in conferences, including G20 conferences, they tell me that, they saw places which were completely new to them. Many of them felt that their idea, their exposure to India was dramatically changed during that period. And what I can say, because bear in mind, these G20 delegates, people who came, were probably in a way the most powerful influencers of our times. The impressions that they have, the impressions that they took back from that period in India, I can tell you it will stand us in very good stead. So it is for this reason that we say G20 connected India to the world and equally the world to India. Incidentally, many of you may also note that, we have high-level visits. It's always part of diplomacy. But typically, people came to Delhi, they arrived, they saw the airport, they saw the hotel, Hyderabad house, maybe a little bit more than that. But again, I want to tell you what has changed. Because look now at the number of foreign leaders who go outside Delhi, who are often actually, their meetings with Prime Minister Modi are actually held in a city other than Delhi. So we had recently President Macron, who arrived in Jaipur. We had the President Sanchez of Spain, who was received in Vadodara. Some years ago, Chancellor Merkel was taken to Bengaluru, or Prime Minister Abe, one of his most memorable visits was actually to Kashi. So I do want to tell you today that this, diversity of India, this richness of India, this wonderful heritage that our civilization has nurtured. Today, there is an enormous effort to present it to the world, to make the world much more focused about what India really is. Now, like any other industry, tourism and hospitality obviously cannot be assessed in isolation. I have shared with you some thoughts and some experiences within India. So let me now turn to the world. Where the global picture is concerned, those from the hospitality sector and associated sectors, today the current challenges as clearly as we do in the political sector. We are definitely living in a volatile and uncertain era, having experienced the successive impact of the COVID pandemic, of multiple conflicts, many of which are still going on, and of trade upheavals. Those nations with a robust domestic demand have fared better and will obviously continue to do so. And the value of stronger tourism in such a situation is hard to overstate. After all, it has so many dimensions, including infrastructure development, entrepreneurship, creativity, skills enhancement, or job generation. Indeed, there are few activities that do more to energize the economy and multiply employment. I should also add that your industry helps to prepare a global workforce at a time when international mobility is becoming more common. So every experience, every interaction in this sector actually helps to enhance brand India. By doing so, you make a contribution to the promotion of cultural respect, which is so essential in international relations. And the current times, therefore, certainly warrant greater attention to tourism and hospitality, whether it is for economic reasons, for cultural ones, or for branding. The holding of this gathering sends a very strong message in that regard. So allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to end with a few words on the theme of this conference, which is the Invincible Spirit of India. We are a civilizational state, a society that has withstood the test of time and nurtured its culture, traditions, and heritage. Our real strengths have been our people and their self-belief. We have overcome adversities and we have addressed multiple challenges in the journey towards progress and prosperity. We have so much to be proud of and so much to share with the world. Our approach has long been driven by Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and Atithi Devo Bhava. While we will always benefit by such openness, it is essential in times of unpredictability to stand firmly on our own feet. Atmanirbharta is, of course, the mindset to deal with global turbulence. But it is also the basis to strengthen our self-confidence, to increase our resilience, and to lay the foundation for Viksit Bharat. The tourism and hospitality industry makes a crucial contribution to these goals, and I applaud the commitment that all of you display to nation building and economic progress. So I thank you again for inviting me, and I wish you all the best in your businesses and in the many contributions that you all make. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, sir, for those words. On behalf of Faith, a big thank you, sir. And you can see that they're all on their feet to applaud you, because at every forum, in every negotiation, you carry the strength of India's stance and dignity of her heritage. So we salute you, Dr. Jaishankar. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain in your places until Dr. Jaishankar has left the premises. We will move on to our next session and quickly make